You can all feel it. You can see it. And you hear about it wherever you go now. We live in dead America. How do we reconcile the wrongs in America? I'm Ed Waters, and I'm your host of Dead America. Join me as we dive deep into the great divides, the misunderstandings and confusion that plagues us here in Dead America. Let's have us a look. Welcome to this week's episode. We're going to talk a little bit about accountability. It's lacking in the world today. You know what I'm talking about. Ever get on those customer service telephone numbers and the customer service representative is just being so rude? Yes, you know what I'm talking about. These out-of-control companies that just think, what are you going to do about it? When a company does something bad, they need to be held accountable. They should fix what they've done. There's been many times that I've had to call customer service and then be insulted by the very company that I'm giving money to provide a service that they no longer provided in the manner that they said they would do. What are you supposed to do? Just let it go? I'll tell you, in the world today, a lot of people, because of convenience, they're overlooking accountability. The more we overlook these situations, the heavier it gets. We are paying corporations to trash us, to make us feel worthless, littler than what we are. We need to get a grip on this. If your convenience is going to allow you to let your personal rights be trampled, or your contracts that you've agreed to be breached, this is not good. We've got to be able to hold people accountable, and we've allowed this monstrosity to get out of control. It's hard for you to really take control of the situation anymore, because now these companies just feel that they can tie things up in court forever until you run out of money or patience. They've got enough money that you've paid them to actually make you feel like dog food anymore. This is not good, people. It's not bad to hold corporations accountable. Just because it is an inconvenience to you, you've got to have the moral backbone to stand up for what is actually right? Does it inconvenience you? Well, that's up to you to decide. Myself, I try to hold people accountable, just like I hold myself accountable. For instance, I was up enjoying an afternoon fishing, and I was just popping fishes in my fish bucket, and actually I overcaught my limit by one fish. Well, I got stopped on the way home from a state police officer, and he noticed I was fishing, and I said, sure, I caught some fish. He says, well, do you mind if I take a look at them? Oh, no, I was proud. I got some good fish. Well, I'll tell you, I didn't realize I had an extra fish, but yet I did have that extra fish, and I did catch that fish. Well, I could have lied to the officer, because on that particular day, the lake just down below from where I was fishing was open to any amount that you could catch, net, or drag out of the pond. So actually, I could have said, well, I got that extra fish down below in the other lake, and I would have been fine. Actually, the state police officer kind of hinted towards that direction. Well, did you catch this someplace else? No, I did not. I caught that at the lake. And I owned up to my wrong, even though I could have lied and got away with it. Well, that little thing of telling the truth cost me $400. But you know what? I don't care. I held myself accountable. It's on the record. It's on record. Alright, so yeah, and there's plenty other times I could bring up that you gotta hold yourself accountable. If you are not going to be truthful with yourself, what good are you really? I want you to really think about that. Sometimes it's very, very hard to hold yourself accountable. But if you don't, what really are you living for? Truth is always going to win over telling a lie. You've got to be able to tell the truth. No matter what, you will feel good in the end. In your lifetime, later on, you will look back and say, I'm glad I told the truth. It makes you feel good. Being accountable. Now, when you can hold yourself accountable in those instances, when you're paying money for a service, you want that service to be what you're paying for. Well, I was paying the local trash people to haul my garbage off. Several times they missed picking up the trash, and then I would have to wait 2 weeks to put trash out again. Well, where I live, it gets mighty hot and that trash starts stinking. I called and I complained. I said, could you please get my trash? And I was pretty polite about it. Well, I'll tell you, it was around Christmas. It was the Christmas pickup. Well, he gave me a present. He drove by and left my trash can and picked up everybody else's trash can. The first time it happened in the summer. This time it happened in the winter, so, it wasn't so bad. I didn't have to smell it as much, but still, I called the company, I complained again, and I said, hey, look, you need to send the guy back out because he picked up everybody else's around me, but he drove by looking at my place as he drove by, smiling. Well, I called and I said, look, I've got it on videotape. You want to look at it? Please send a person back out and get my trash today. We'll have somebody out by 5 p.m. today, sir. It didn't happen. I had to wait 2 more weeks. And then I said, well, just come and get your cans. I no longer want your service. And then they wanted to argue about that. Well, I stuck with my guns, and this has been almost 2 years now. I haul my own garbage to the dump. I smell it. Well, you know what? I don't have to pay somebody to harass me. I'm not going to pay for somebody to harass me. Accountability in the people you deal with, our politicians, and in the people that actually work for our system. You know what I'm talking about. Those people you call on the telephone and they harass you. What about these certain satellite companies that call you and then you try to disconnect your service, and it takes an act of Congress to get them to just shut your service off. Companies, they want to argue. I'll tell you, where is the world going? Accountability, people. We've got to start understanding what accountability is, and we've got to implement this, even if it is an inconvenience to us. Because if we don't hold people accountable, it's just going to keep getting worse. Not something the world needs. Accountability, the quality or state of being accountable, especially an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions. Public officials lacking accountability. Yes, they are. So are we. Start with ourselves and be able to hold yourself accountable. That's the key. Once you do that, it's easier to start holding others accountable. And that does not mean judge people. That means to hold them accountable for their actions. Get out and change the world today. Make your actions count. Make your actions that can change the world. Thanks for joining us this week. And I'll tell you, I'm about ready to start hitting the streets again for some interviews. I've been really busy, tied down to other things. And I've been trying to have others reach out to me. Well, it's time to beat the street again so we can talk to people, get stories. Join us next week right here on Dead America.